there gamers, welcome back to the Board Game Co channel, and today we have a preview of Boktor. Hey there gamers, it's Professor Meg here, and welcome back to the Board Game Co channel. Today we have a preview of Boktor by Fox Troll Games. Now this is a current GameFound campaign, so you can check out the link down below for everything that they have planned. This is a sponsored preview, and this is also a prototype copy in front of me, so all rules, components, things like that are subject to change. Now Boktor is going to be a game for 1 to 6 players where you are cooperatively uncovering these different tiles, creating a unique map every single time that you play, and yes, you are fighting off against these hordes of monsters that are constantly being summoned either from different portals or from the tiles themselves when you're placing them out. But every time that you play, you are setting up a different tyrant to play with, and that's the deck that you'll use for the enemy. So you'll want to try to uncover this tyrant, have them show up somewhere on the board, and then be able to meet the conditions to be able to even start attacking them and fighting them, and then you will be able to face off against the tyrant to try to take them out together cooperatively. Now you are able to play this true solo, or as a solo player, you're able to play with multiple characters if you'd like to try to do it that way as well. So with that, I'm going to dive into the general gameplay first, but then I'll show you a bit about the different characters that you're able to play as well as the tyrants that you'll face off against. Now, currently the game is set up for 2 players using the heroes Nissa and Heka, and that's very important because all of the heroes have their own special abilities, which I will go through on the player dashboards. Everything is very unique as you go hero to hero, but you also have a deck of cards that you'll use as well. Now, players do start with 1 card in play. I'll get into the cards specifically in a bit as well. There is a lot of layers to this game, but overall it's pretty easy to grasp that a lot of the strategy is going to be in how you are leveling up your characters and trying to really manage these hordes of enemies that are coming out. So we have Nissa and Heka over here, and they're fighting off against this tyrant Minos. So this is the board for the tyrants, where I will show you how this normally is propped up in just a little bit, but they have their specific boards where this track is going to trigger specific things for you. It also shows you that he starts off with 25 HP, which is shown on the dials up here, and then you have your tyrant deck as well, because there will be a monster phase every turn after a player does their hero phase. So now I'm going to go over what your player board is going to look like before I get into what an actual turn is going to look like. So you do have your deck, which you will be upgrading different cards and putting them into play whenever that would trigger, which is going to be things like this symbol over here, which I'll get to in a little bit. But looking at your player board, you have your health, and you always start off at full health. So Heka is starting off with 7 HP, and she has 1 energy. Now, during a player's turn, they're going to gain 3 energy, and then be able to spend that energy on different actions. Now, something that is really interesting is that on an active player's turn, other players are also able to spend some of their energy to do specific things as well. So your movement action is something that you can do not only on your turn, but on other heroes' turns as well. So someone else may be able to move with you if that's something that you wanted to plan out. And then the other thing that you are able to do is activate specific powers that have that ability. So there are going to be abilities in play, such as this one here for Heka, where she is able to trigger this ability during another player's turn. So I'll get into cards in just a second, but that's going to be when you trigger those specific things, whereas only some things will happen during an active player's turn. So during an active player's turn, they're going to gain 3 energy over here, and they're also able to attack. So you're able to spend 1 energy to perform your attack, and depending on the hero that you're playing with, your attack threshold is going to change. So for Heka here, it's going to be based on how much health she has. So at full health with 7, she needs to roll a 12 plus to be able to attack. So if she were to spend 1 energy to move over to this spider tile here, the first thing that would immediately happen is that a new tile would spawn because there is one adjacent to here. So this would spawn here, And the type of tile that this is, it's going to be a fire type tile, which I'll get into why the type of tile matters in a moment, but it's also going to spawn a portal. So there are 3 portals in the game, and this is something that can be a little bit deceiving because at the beginning of the game, there's only 1 portal out and then there's only 2, but as soon as there are 3, if another portal would be spawned, it just moves around. So as soon as you're juggling 3 portals, you're summoning a lot of enemies on their turns. So it's something that in the beginning you might be able to manage, but during the end of the game, you really need to maneuver around enemies and find ways to be very strong and outwit them because there's going to just be so many summoning at all of these different portals. So taking a look here, we spent 1 energy and then this portal was summoned with this tile here. We're going to choose to stay here, but then we are able to attack. Now, we are attacking in the least optimal way, and I say that because if our health is at least at 5, we're going to be able to roll a 7+ to be able to do damage to the spider. But for the sake of the example, I want to show you the hardest possible way to do it. So we are going to spend 1 energy and attempt to roll a 12+ to do 1 damage. Now, we only rolled a 6. That's absolutely not enough, but wink wink, if we had rolled this 14 here, when a spider takes damage, spiders have 2 health, whereas both of these ones only have 1 health. So when they take that 1 damage, you're actually going to take one of these swords over here and place it into the spider, so they are holding on to that, so you know that is a damaged spider as well as opposed to a fully healthy spider. So again, we unfortunately did not roll what we needed to be able to accomplish that, but pretending that we did, this is what that would look like. Now, another thing that Heka is able to do, which she might have chosen to do so first, because damaging herself is actually good because it will make her a little bit easier to attack with different things. She does have this voodoo ability, which is lose 1 health, and then deal 3 times 1 damage to monsters on 1 tile of your choice. So that's really important because sometimes you'll deal just 3 total damage and you would not be able to take out multiple monsters in that way. But this one is actually 3 instances of 1 damage each, so she would be able to take out both of these because they are only 1 health. Now this is also very cool because it is 1 tile of your choice. It does not require line of sight, so she is just able to do it. It's a very powerful spell, so we're going to have her spend the health as well as the energy that she needs to activate it and do the 2 damage over here because something pretty cool is going to happen when that happens as well. So we're going to take out both of those monsters, and then we're going to move this dial forward twice. So this dial here is where you are gaining experience points, and once you are halfway through, all players are going to gain an energy, which is great, but more importantly, once you make a full cycle, you're going to draw 2 cards from your deck, choose to keep 1, and then place 1 on the bottom of the deck. So this is a way that you're going to put more cards into play, that it's going to allow your hero to be a bit more specialized and definitely a whole lot stronger with different instances. So I will go over in a little bit what different cards look like because there's a whole lot more than what you can see here, but that's how you're going to be obtaining those. Now, finally, we do have 1 energy left over, and we can choose to bank that for future turns. So we are going to choose to end our turn here. This spider is likely maybe going to be able to attack us, but that's okay. So we're going to save our last energy and end our hero phase there. So now it is going to go on to the monster phase, where this Tyrant card for Minos is going to be drawn, and the first thing that would happen would be if he was in play. So he is not, so this first thing is not going to happen, but then the second thing is going to be summoning. So one of these harpies is going to get summoned at the portal over here, and then certain ones are going to move, and it's going to be the harpies and the spiders are going to move 1. Now this spider is not going to move because they are currently engaged with a hero, but this one is going to move 1 over to here, and then they are going to attack. Now the Harpy is going to attack for 1 damage at 0 range, meaning that this one here is going to attack within its tile to this person here, which is Heka, and that is the only person that's going to be attacked this round. So you can see at the beginning of the game it is a bit later where there's not too much going on, but they're still going to receive an attack. But as a free action, you're able to react during the monster phase. So Heka is going to be able to attempt to shield this for a 13+. We'll roll. We got a natural 20, which is actually very interesting. So for a 20, we are able to shield the attack from the monster. We would have been able to do so on a 13+, but there are actually boons for you when you either get a critical hit or a critical failure. So that is actually a critical 20. So we're going to be able to gain 1 energy for that. If we had rolled a 1, you would actually lose an energy instead. So that is going to be the entire monster phase, and then it's just going to pass on to the next player. So even if you had multiple players, you would move around in player order, and as you can see, sometimes people will be gaining energy in unexpected ways where they will be able to do certain things on other players' turns. For example, again, this voodoo ability Heka is able to do during Nissa's turn. So as long as she has the energy to do so, which she does, and the health, then you are able to trigger that, and we can keep that in mind. So now we will move on to Nissa's turn, and just to go over their special ability card, this is one that they're able to use during the monster phase for 1 energy. It's called Slime Bomb, which is during this monster phase, monsters on 1 tile within 0 to 3 range do not move but may still attack. So she is able to target monsters on a tile and have them not be able to move and pursue. That being said, we perhaps definitely should have had Heka move out that turn, but that's okay. She's pretty strong, so it's fine, and she wants to take the damage. Now, we also have this ability here because it does have the ice ability at the bottom of the card. So this is something that's going to augment your card if you are using it when your hero is in that particular type of room. So if our hero was in an ice room, we would be able to trigger that, and this would change it to 3 tiles instead. So the voodoo card does not have that bonus, whereas this card does. Now for our turn for Nissa, we will gain the 3 energy, and then for her, she actually has a 2 movement versus the 1 movement for Heka. So she's able to move quite a bit, and this will show you how tiles are uncovered even more. So we will spend 1 energy, and she can spend her 2 movement to go 1, and then this would be paused here for 2 tiles to spawn. So a tile will spawn here with both of these monsters placed on it, and another tile will be placed down here with both of these monsters on it. So as you can see, she can choose to move an additional space, but if she does so, it will spawn even more monsters. So in this instance, she may choose to actually backtrack over toward Heka because her attacks are actually stronger when she is near other allies. So we'll have her move back 1, and then we'll spend another energy to have her move back here onto Heka's spot, because these enemies will start to swarm this way and they'll be able to take them out or perhaps build on the map this way instead if they want to do so. So we'll have her come over here, and then we will perform an attack to hopefully take out that spider. So she wants allies on her space. She has 1, so on a 7+, she's going to be able to deal 1 damage and take out that spider. I think it rolled off screen, but this is a 17, so we're going to be able to take him out, place him over here, and again, this would move forward, advancing us on the experience track. Now to look at another monster phase, we're going to draw a card over here, and again, the Tyrant is not yet in play, so this ability would not trigger. Then there's the summoning for the spiders, so there would be a spider summoned over here, and then spiders would attack at 0 range, but for 2 damage, which is really strong, but luckily these spiders are not within range of anyone. And then they're going to move 1. So this spider will move to over here. this is already on this spot, and then the spider will move up as well as this harpy moving this way. Now, the Naga are also special because they are able to attack from one range away. So they are going to typically end their movement one space away from heroes, but if they're in a space with a hero, they will not move out. So that is where the Naga are a bit special, but they have 1 health as well as the harpies, whereas the spiders do have that 2 health where you're going to place the swords inside of them. Now that is the general pace of play of the game, where the monsters are very straightforward. They all have very specific rules where they either have 1 or 2 health, and then on top of that they're either ranged or they do some melee attacks. So you can kind of start to anticipate things, especially with the Tyrant deck where it is 7 specific cards, so you can kind of get a pacing of what is going to be happening, but there's going to be so much happening. As soon as there are 2, but especially 3 portals out, the monsters are going to start swarming you. So you are trying to find this Tyrant and upgrade yourself by taking out different monsters and moving yourself along the experience track to be strong enough to fight off the Tyrant and cooperatively take them out together. So that's what you're trying to do. So if you focus on monsters too much, you might end up in battles where you are just trying to take out things that just keep getting summoned again from the portal. Now, when you are summoning, there are, a limited number of tokens where if you need to summon a specific type of monster and you can't, you summon another type instead, and if all monsters are on the board, they're like, you've got this, it's too hard already, just deal with the monsters that are on the board. So this game is something that can escalate quickly with everything that is coming out. Now, with the Tyrant boards, they do actually sit up. I had it laid flat for you to be able to see as the preview, but they have these little legs where it does sit up for you, and you have this dial where once per deck, within the 7 cards, you are going to draw a card where nothing happens. So within that 1 in 7, you at least know that one time nothing is going to happen, which you're going to be very grateful for, especially when you start getting overwhelmed. And when that does happen, this is going to increase. So sometimes it is going to give you experience, which is going to help you with the abilities of either upgrading cards or gaining some energy along the way, but sometimes it's going to cost you things like health. So it can also give you things like energy, but this is going to be different for all of the different Tyrants, and then you're also going to track their health over here. So this is just an example to show you what it would look like, but it actually stands up and makes it very clear for you when they come out and exactly what their health is. Now, their tiles are all, depending on their particular rules for that Tyrant, placed within the tile deck. So the tiles are shuffled, but they're numbered 1 to 5, and with each Tyrant, they are placed within that stack depending on where they need to be. So we are trying to not only uncover these different tiles, but find Minos to be able to accomplish what he needs to unlock him and then fight him off. Alright, and now taking a look here, you can see there are a lot more tiles placed out on the board, all based on player movements that were made, and more monsters have been spawned. So there's a whole lot more going on, including the Tyrant tile being placed out. So this has happened. As you can see, we are now at the 4 tiles here. But in order to unlock it, players actually need 5 upgrade cards. So they have 4 currently, meaning that they need to upgrade 1 more time before they will be able to unlock this Tyrant tile and be able to start damaging Minos himself. So players would need to deal with a full cycle. As you can see, they are a bit close to doing so. So Heka here on her turn would be able to spend her health again with her voodoo ability here to hopefully take out 3 enemies in one spot, and then be able to move this experience up, gain a card for all players, and then unlock Minos for them to be able to start dealing damage. Now, Minos is going to start taking a turn every time. After that, when this banner is shown, it's on every card. But they're going to have a turn before the other things happen, which are summoning, attacking, and moving. And then players are going to be able to start attacking away at their health to try to take out the Tyrant itself. Now, other things that you can see that players have in front of them are these scrolls, which are gained from different rooms as well, and you're able to spend those to heal any player as well, so that can be really important. And to take a look at some of these upgrades that they had put into play, for example, there is Perfume of Lamia. When you enter a poison tile, perform 1 free attack roll. So for this character here, when they enter the green tiles, they're able to perform an attack roll for free without spending energy. And they also have the Belt of the Furies. When you eliminate 3 monsters during your turn, gain 1 energy. So the Voodoo card, along with the Belt of the Furies, you can see how those work really well together for you to lose a health, deal 3 damage in 1 tile to hopefully take out 3 enemies, gain 3 experience for all players, as well as an energy for yourself. Now there's also Frostbite Touch over here, and cards like this are going to get a little bit easier depending on where you are. So it's going to cost 2 energy, and then on a 6+, you're going to be able to deal 3 damage at a range 0, meaning within your tile. But if you're in an ice area, you're able to spend 1 energy instead. Now, looking over here at Nissa's upgrade cards, we have Final Blow, which is going to be for the poison rooms instead, where normally in any room you can spend 2 energy, and on a 6+, you'll be able to deal 4 damage. But if you're in a poison room, you're able to have your range changed to 0 to 2, which can be very strong. Now, there's also Head in the Lava, which is going to cost you 1 energy to play, and then when you roll on a 3+, you're going to be able to deal 3 damage when you're on a fire tile. So this is one that specifically requires a fire tile to be able to do it, but then you're able to deal 3 damage. Now again, you're not able to split that damage, so you are able to deal the 2 to take out a spider, or take out with the 3 damage, start trying to take out Minos, or whatever tyrant you happen to be playing. But that is something that you're not able to spread out the damage itself. But we also have this card over here, Blades of the Abyss. So this is going to be one where you actually have these tiles that you're able to place into your player board, because it says your attacks gain range 0 to 1. So our character started off with range 0. You're going to be able to place this in here and then gain an upgraded range to your basic attack as well. Now, we took a look at 1 Tyrant as well as 2 of the different heroes that you're able to play with, but there are actually 4 Tyrants and 6 heroes. So here are the other Tyrants that you're able to play with. There is Nixus, there is Krinor, and there's also Gallios. Now, all of these are going to have their own decks of 7 cards that you're going to use for generating the different monsters throughout the board and the different attacks that they'll do once they're summoned out, as well as where their tile is placed when they are placed out onto the board. But there are also different heroes that you're able to play with as well, and as you can see with Nissa here, she does well when there are other allies in the same spot as her. That's a bit easier for her to attack. So depending on the number of players that you're playing with or your particular playstyle, certain heroes may speak to you. So there is over here, there is Damas, Axios, Thalia, and Thras. So those are the other heroes that you were able to play with as well, and they all have their own unique decks where you are leveling them up, and even the cards that you saw from these current heroes is just a few cards from their decks and how they're able to play into their different strengths. So Boktor is going to be a game where players are going to be cooperatively working together against these big waves of enemies, where once these 3 portals are out, there's going to be a lot trying to swarm toward you, because every time you try to go toward a certain tile, more tiles are going to spawn, and that's usually going to spawn more enemies. Sometimes it spawns scrolls for you, but usually it's going to have enemies on the other side, meaning that exploring the board is the only way that you're going to be able to level up and gain those experience points and find the tyrant, but it also makes things very dangerous, because that means there's going to be a lot of enemies on the board. So this has been a preview of Boktor by Fox Troll Games. You can check out the GameFound link down below for everything that they have planned. I've been Professor Meg. Thank you all for watching the Board Game Co channel, and I'll see you next time. Bye!